Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio. I'm Dr. Vanessa Anceloni here with you in this special event. And we are happy to celebrate Spiritism in this month. And it's an honor for us to join forces with a whole group of other scholars who love studying about Spiritism. Today, we're going to talk about depression. Depression is certainly a disease of the mind, and illness of the mind that needs care. Let me share a few slides with you so we can go together exploring new venues of healing and understanding. We are going to focus on depression, faith, and mental health. We know that the numbers are escalating regarding depression, and we wonder why. What's happening? Yes, certainly, science says that chronic stress leads us to lots of disorders, including depression. It may. And we are living at a time when people barely have time to breathe, to catch their breath, to smell the flowers, right? In the name of hard work, in the name of great ambitions, we are getting sick. What to do? Well, the story wasn't different with Sergei Rachmaninoff. He came from a very wealthy family. He was taught piano by Tchaikovsky himself. Sergei Rachmaninoff, one of the greatest names in piano concerts, was from the Russian aristocracy. But one day, he fell ill. Why? Well, he was a young adult. He composed a great symphony, but the critics were harsh on him, brutal. He also was sad and depressed because he wanted to get married to his cousin, and the church would not allow it till a certain day. He fell ill. He didn't want to play. He didn't want to compose. He didn't want to do much. But a friend of his, who got to know of the power of hypnosis, proposed daily visualizations. And through his daily visualizations, he got better. He composed a great symphony in the name of his friend. Later, he got married to the lady that he loved. And he became one of the greatest pianists of all times and composers. What was his problem? Where was his problem? Where is the root of our problem when we are ill? Because depression, according to the National Institute of Health, and specifically the National Institute of Mental Health, depression is a disease of the mind. Does it mean that we're doomed to it? No, but we need deep therapy. Not this therapy that people talk about, oh, go to the beach and enjoy, do a massage. No. We need the root of our problem. And Spiritism, in its science and therapeutics, brings to us the solution. We get to know in the book Mechanisms of Mediumship that everything begins in our thoughts. In this book, André Luiz is going to explain to us that our thoughts are within the thoughts of God. That's why we suffer. We suffer because we're distanced from the divine laws. We're trying to get out of the boundaries, and thus we suffer. As the answer to Kardec's answer to question 614, we suffer when we are distanced from God's laws. As you can see in the picture, we try to get out, boom, ouch, we suffer. So where are we trying to defeat God's laws? As if we're power struggling, we would say that depression is a way to power struggle with God. God is saying, I want you to be a good cook. But then you're saying, but I want to be a good writer. And God is saying, in this life, you'll be a good cook. And we're saying, no, I want to be a good writer. I'm just mentioning a silly example of how often we power struggle with God and we end up sick because we are not complying with the laws. Knowing more about the laws will be a great healing for us. The third part of the Spirit's book by Kardec encompasses the laws of life, beginning with the law of worship, and it ends with the law of love. It's up to us to abide to it, to comply, and to be happy. But André Luiz, in another book, Evolution in Two Worlds, will explain to us that the dynamics of our predispositions to illnesses begin when we make a grave mistake, and the memories of that great mistake. So you and I are basically photo albums of life. Everything we say, everything we do, everything we think, everything we feel is recorded in our spiritual mind, in our mental bodies, as André Luiz says, in our perispirit. And those photos of our memories are living, vibrating. The sum of them all will dictate the tone of our health. If I have posted pictures that are happy, loving, then you and I will be healthy. Illnesses is when the sum of this is not happy. Not the happiness going to the beach, going to a party, buying things. No. It's about love. Giving love, being compassionate, being kind, being altruistic. Those memories will be the happiest memories for all. In that regard, dear friends, we want to change the way we're living our lives to be healthier. Like a doctor told a lady who was depressed, go do something that you love and bring happiness to other people. The day she started giving out plants that she planted to other people, she never stopped. She never felt depressed again because she was thinking of other people's joy and not absorbed in her own misery. Our greatest imperfection is in self-interest. When we do things out of self-interest, that brings us great sadness. The day we forget about ourselves and bring joy to people, we start collecting happy memories. Those happy memories will be the sum of our health. André Luiz explains a little further that every time we make a mistake, we create a zone of remorse based on a nodule of disturbance that later will be leading us to predisposition to illnesses, morbid predispositions. So what can we do to bring relief? Love. But not this vain love that people talk about. We're talking about thinking of other people's needs, thinking of what we would like to receive, so we do it to people. We're talking about our relationship with God. Love begins with God. No wonder Jesus talked about the power of faith. Chapter 19 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. When he received a man who said to him, Lord, have mercy on my son who is insane and suffers much because he often falls into the fire and often into the water. I present him to your disciples, but they could not heal him. And Jesus replied, oh, disbelieving and perverse generation, how long will I be with you? How long must I endure you? Bring the child to me. And when the child was brought in, Jesus healed him at a healing touch. Jesus often said that the healing comes from God, but we need to be aligned to be the vessel of that healing. Where's our faith in God? If life is not giving you what you want, ask God. Ask God. As once I was also suffering much, having good friends supporting me. But then I looked at Jesus' picture in my bedroom. I sat down and I had a long conversation. And I said, Master, you know my problems. I don't know the solution. Can you please enlighten my way? Bring me the relief because I need it. I trust in God and I trust in you. I surrendered and I felt this deep calm. In that surrender, later, of course, every prayer is listened and the solution came along. It may take time, but feeling depressed is power struggling with God. It's throwing a tantrum, saying, I don't agree with God. Life should be different. I should be different. I am here to evolve, and that's why we need faith to change the illness of the mind. Faith is confidence, is certainty, is lucidity. Faith leads us to removing obstacles, the famous mountains, like resistances, pessimism, prejudices, selfishness, pride, material attachments, fanaticisms, and lack of goodwill. Because true faith is calm, patient, and humble. What is your relationship with God? To get out of depression, we need to restore our main relationship, our relationship with God. Those who put more trust in themselves than in God, they will have a problem. Those who believe in God more than in themselves, knowing that they are simple instruments of God's will, can do nothing without God. They know it, and the good spirits will come to help them. It's what we call the magnetic action of faith. It attracts elements of healing. In the book Thought and Life, Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier, tells us about the mind as the vortex of our lives, the mirror of our lives, and will being the driving force of the soul. So come on, dear friends, let us have this trust in God, and as feeling as somebody who is walking through this journey of immortality, knowing that God is leading us step by step. And as Jesus said, seek healing and you will find it with psychologists, psychiatrists, holistic therapists, but above all, your relationship with God. The healing of any illness begins in the mind. We need a multidimensional approach, professionals who are competent to lead us into healing. But most of all, we need our goodwill to align ourselves to God's designs. And when we do so, health will be at the end of the rainbow. Thank you, friends, for this moment of reflection about depression, our faith, and mental health.